Hi, tennis fans. The Cos here with you for another half hour inside the world of tennis. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Discover the Lake Club, the most exclusive lifestyle in the best-selling luxury village in Lakewood Ranch. With a grand clubhouse, indoor and outdoor dining, spa, and the grand opening of 6 tennis and pickleball courts along with resort-style pools, the Lake Club has it all. Come tour 13 luxury models from the area's premier home builders and discover our newest neighborhoods, Genoa and Lakeview Estates. The luxury, the lifestyle, the Lake Club.
I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
You're Inside Tennis with the Cos.
Hi, tennis fans. Terrific as always to be with you. It is a real honor to be part of the Icon management team and to work on a daily basis with Brad Jeffers, General Manager at the Lake Club, and with Nate Griffin, Corporate Director of Icon's Fitness and Racket Sports Program. Nate and I have been friends for 25 years, and we've worked in the industry together. It is a real joy and an inspiration to see how Nate has grown in the industry. We hope that we can augment your tennis skills and enlighten you with some entertaining stories. Many of the instructional tips will be from Master Your Tennis Motor Memory, which we did with Jimmy Arias, former number 5 in the world and current Director of Tennis at IMG. Jimmy Arias, what is tennis motor memory at the pro level?
Motor memory is being able to reproduce a stroke over and over again, especially under pressure. You have to be almost automatic where you don't have to think about it.
We are going to connect with 3 women who have impacted the game, especially mine: Sonya Kenin, Monica Seles, and the great legend of the game, Chris Evert. The first time that I met Sonya Kenin, she was 7 years old. I was encouraged by legendary photographer Art Stites to interview her. After the interview, I was looking for someone to hit some balls that we can use in the B-roll. No one was available. They were all over at Andy Roddick's exhibition, 3 courts down. I was in dress shoes, dress pants, and also a jacket. I went out with 6 balls in my hand, and we exchanged the ball for 40 times. Sonya Kenin never missed a shot. Why do you want to be a tennis pro?
Because I want to be a champion and I want to be number 1 in the world.
I like the way you hit the ball. You always get the ball back. How do you do that?
I prepare early and then I try to let the ball come forward and that I could hit the ball to somebody.
How much are you practicing? How long are you on the tennis court every day?
3 hours.
3 hours every day. Do you know other tennis pros? Do you have a favorite tennis pro? Who is it?
Andy Roddick.
Oh, do you know Andy Roddick?
Yeah.
How do you know Andy Roddick?
Because I saw him when I was standing over there when he was serving, when somebody was returning his serve.
Would you like to play with Andy Roddick someday?
Yeah.
Do you think you could ever return Andy Roddick's serve?
Yes.
How?
If I split and I prepare early and when I do a short back swing.
Split, prepare early, short back swing. You've had some coaching, haven't you? Who's your coach?
My dad.
Your dad. Anybody? Your dad's a good coach. Anybody else coach you?
Rick Macy.
Oh, Rick Macy, the big M. So you've got good coaches, girl. Good coaches, fast feet. You are going someplace, little rising star, Sonya. Good to see you.
Thanks.
I was also the first American tennis journalist to interview you. When I tell everybody about you, that day at Andy Roddick's fundraiser, Art Stites wanted me to meet you, and we were interviewing, but we didn't have any B-roll. I had a coat, I had dress shoes on. You and I went out to rally. The story doesn't stop there. We had a 40-ball rally because of you. You hit every ball into my strike zone.
Yeah, I remember that day. Yeah, he taught me. He's a big impact on me on my career, and yeah, obviously I wanted to look good in front of you over there. So I made 40 balls in a court then.
Yeah, your face always looks good in front of the world. They called them the Bagel Boys. Harold Solomon, Eddie Dibbs would take one, that's correct, one ball in their hand, go out on the court, put the timer, set it for 30 minutes, and they would exchange the ball behind the service line for 30 minutes without an error. I've known college coaches to give two players on the court, college players that is, one ball for practice and one ball for all the drills, to emphasize the importance of not missing, hitting the ball back to your practice partner in his strike zone, in her strike zone during practice. Next up is Monica Seles. Monica Seles and I worked together at Laurel Oak. I was the director of tennis. Monica was the touring professional. She met my daughter, Carolyn Virginia, age 14. Seles was 17 at the time. They laughed for 5 minutes before they could talk. They were giggling like pure young little girls, which Monica Seles certainly was. Her coach was her father, Carol Seles, and he was a brilliant guy with a PhD in kinesiology. You know, he would have her warm up her serve even after winning several slams from the service line, not the baseline, from the service line, so that she was working on her technique, not trying to get the ball into the box. Monica's father would get numerous phone calls from parents saying, please work with my child. He would test the parent. What does the game mean to you, he would say. What's tennis mean to you? And they would get very excited. It's the greatest game in the world. I've never experienced anything like it. It's the greatest thing in my life. And I want my child to feel the same way. Well, Coach Seles said, no, I don't think it'll work because no child can like the game less than the parent, and it's very difficult to like the game more than what I'm hearing from you as a parent. I don't think I'll be the right coach for your child. Now, I shared that story with Monica live on air. She never knew that. When I told her the story, she said, yes, I could see my father saying that. That's what he believed. We had to love the game more than he did. Not only did he have her serving from the service line, they did a number of 2-on-1s, two men. One was her brother Zoltan, the other was my son Davidson. They would play her sets, two men from the singles court against one woman from the singles court. She could never put the ball away because they were standing there and the ball came right back. What a tremendous overload experience that would be. Try it sometime. If you have three players, go 2 against 1 playing singles. And the singles player over here will learn to be patient and try to hit winning shots down the middle to get it between the two players. So Coach Seles would ask the parents, what does the game mean to you? What does the game mean to you? What does it mean to me? Well, at most levels, what does the game of tennis mean? What's the word tennis mean? Tennis means going out on the court, putting the ball in play, and seeing how many times you can exchange the same ball back and forth. So what are you learning from that? Well, you were learning to outlast the opponent instead of trying to outblast the opponent. After her 26-month hiatus, after being stabbed, she returned to action with Martina Navratilova at the Return of Champions in Atlantic City, New Jersey. In her first official tournament, Monica Seles won the Canadian Open. Her next tournament was the US Open. In the finals against Steffi Graf, she lost a tough 3-setter. She was back into the game, and 4,000 interview requests were coming her way. She granted 2, one to the other Dave Letterman, and the other to Dave the Koz Kozlowski. Oh, what a friend, Monica, you have been through the years.
Hi, you're Inside Tennis with the Koz.
Well, wherever we go, people want to know, where's Monica Seles? How's she doing? Well, here she is at the Claremont Inn. You know this place. You've been here before. You're here at Berkeley. You are looking very fashionable, and I know how much you've been into fashion. How do you like to express yourself in fashion, Monica?
Well, I think as a woman, fashion is quite important. And in the good old days of tennis, we had a gentleman by the name of Ted Tingling. And I was 14 years old when I met Ted. And he gave me some good advice that now in my grand old age of 33, I tried to use.
And you handle that 33 well. You express yourself well in fashion, but you also express yourself quite well with American Express. How do you like those commercials? What do you enjoy doing most with those?
Well, American Express has definitely brought out a fun side of me, especially with the grunting commercials in the supermarket. I can't tell you, as you know, we're both come from the same town in Florida. I go to supermarket and there's people that still grunt, and this ran a couple of years ago, so that has stuck with me.
Good things never go. I'm talking about being fashionable. She is, and she's in the fast lane, but she also is very down to earth. You've got David Dinkins in town. He's playing with my son Davidson, and I'm on the court, and you show up as the ball girl. You remember that. You got a special relationship with David Dinkins. Tell us about that.
Yes, of course. I mean, I call him coach. I'm his student. He has been my coach since really 1991, so we go way back. He hasn't missed a single match of mine. He has been just the biggest supporter, and I just love him to death.
Monica, you have a healthy respect for the game. You're a living legend yourself. You look back and you know these players. Looking back, what players are you sorry you didn't have a chance to meet and play?
Well, my all-time dream would have been to play Suzanne Lenglen. I mean, she was my favorite. I think she was ahead of her time. And the first time I got a chance to see a little bit of a video of her was in Wimbledon at the All England Club Museum. And that was a big treat for me.
If you were coaching, and you're not doing that yet, but when you do start coaching, so I wish you had coached me. Remember one time your dad let me coach you 30 seconds on your forehand volley. Every time I see you hit a winner, oh boy, it makes me feel good. But when you do start coaching, what are you going to tell these kids that your dad told you?
Well, I think one thing that has stuck with me, and you knew my dad very well too, so you know, is that you got to have fun. Whatever you do in life, make sure you have fun. And I was very lucky to find that in tennis. And, you know, my dad installed that in me. And really just give it all you got in whatever you decide to do.
Well, you haven't played in a while, but you are in great shape. You're ready to get back playing. What does this game mean to you right now, Monica?
Well, I love tennis. I mean, as a little girl when I started playing at age 6, I never imagined that it would actually be a career and all these other great things that have come with it. Sadly, that innocence in the sport has been a little bit lost because now I meet these 6-year-old kids who shake my hand. I'm also going to be winning the French Open. I'll be even younger than you were. I'm like, oh gosh, she's 6 years old. She should be at this stage just worrying about proper technique, forehand, backhand, and really making sure that it's fun, because being a pro, small percentage of us make it. And I think it's important to stay in school and just take your time. No need to rush.
Now, I thought I knew you, but I really didn't, because you're a spokesperson for Migraine Headaches, the association. I never knew you were playing with migraines. How did you do that? What was that like?
Well, I suffer from migraines, and I think anyone that's out there that gets them knows how terrible they are. And to go out and play, especially if it's a sunny day with a lot of light, it's very difficult. But you know, it's one of the things that millions of other Americans have it, and you just go on about your day. But it's definitely not fun when you do get them.
How did you play? I mean, you have to concentrate, and you're fighting this bad feeling in the head. I know what a headache's like, but not a migraine. You just accepted it?
I think mental strength. I mean, you see me play, so you know my mental strength
you
was one of my strengths.
You never said hello to me when you were playing. Maybe not even for a week when you were getting ready for those matches. But we're making up for it now.
I know. No, I was very focused. I mean, I can tell you how many of my friends would come and watch me, and they'd just say, Monica, you're like a different person, because I'm so easygoing in my private life. But soon as I would get on to a tournament and I'm getting ready for my match, I would be like in a different zone, and you'd be, is that really the same person? But that's what worked for me.
All right, let's go back. 95, just won the Canadian Open. You're in the finals of the U.S. Open, lose a tough match in the third set. We know that. You have 4,000 interviews. You do another guy, Dave Letterman. You launched my career, a broadcast career, and I thank you so much for that. I'm very appreciative. You came on the show. You gave us a 30-minute interview in the studio. You're a good person. You're a caring person. Where did you get this stuff?
I think it's my parents. I mean, I lucked out with both my mom and dad, I don't know. I have my faults too, too many to mention. Oh no, I mean, all of us, we have good days and we had bad days, and I think all of us are human, and that's what life is about, and that's why life is just an adventure.
All right, so we did catch up with Monica Seles. You can see how darn good you were looking.
Thank you, Dave. Bye, you guys.
The world loves you, you know that.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Monica. So what did we learn from Monica Seles? Even the champions have to work on fundamentally sound tennis just as if they're starting from the first day out. Unequivocally, without doubt, one of the most recognized females in sports is Chris Evert. I was working with the Sunshine Network, and I received a call from the general manager saying, Kaz, we're doing a profile on Chris Evert. We just did one on two former football greats, on Steve Spurrier and Don Shula. And now they were doing one on Chris. I was excited. I said, I'll do anything possible to let people know, to promote it on our show. They said, no, we're calling to see if you want to host it. Goodness, was I taken off guard, and my gosh, was I honored to have that opportunity. I had a chance to interview everyone involved with Chris's life. It has been exciting covering Chris Evert's pro celebrity fundraiser. She's done it for 30 years and raised over $26 million. Chris Evert was known for her flawless ground strokes. Her volleys were a bit less flawless. One of the journalists approached that and said, how can we have a world-class baseline player who is less at home? One of the tennis journalists addressed that. How can we have a world-class baseline player and less world-class at the net with her volleys? Well, her father, Jimmy Everett, took some personal umbrage, and he was determined to make her just as good at the net as she was at the baseline. So, what was the procedure? You're going to be surprised. First, he started by just having someone politely, gently, easily toss the ball to Chris so she would get over any intrepidation about the net. Then, the second one was hitting moderate pace so she would learn to play the ball and move into it, to become more comfortable at the net. The final, boy, he didn't spare a thing. This hard-hitting player moved in about 10 feet and hit the ball as hard as he could at Chris, and her reactions were starting to respond to the speed of the ball. Chris Evert, you talk to these kids as if you were their next-door neighbor. My goodness, you're still a kid, you know that. But how much fun was it kidding around with the kids?
It's fun. I remember how they felt, because I remember how I felt at their age. Just starting tennis and starting to play international tennis and meeting new kids. And it kind of brought me back to the times when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old. So I remember those. I have those memories well ingrained in my head. And I felt like they were a great group. So I had a lot of fun.
Maureen Connolly was the first to win the Slam. How much impact, influence, motivation was she for you, a kid growing up?
She was a great motivation for me because, again, she came to my dad's club, Fort Lauderdale, his public park, when I was 11 years old, and I got to hit with her. And I always, my game was always patterned after anyway. Really solid ground strokes,
solid flat,
and good placement, and really good temperament. So she became my idol because I honestly wanted to play like her and I wanted to be like her. So she was a big influence.
29 years of molding lives, of changing lives. Today I see you out there changing a serve with Chris. Note that Jimmy Everett came out at that point. What do you enjoy about coaching and helping on the tennis court, Chris?
Well, I think that, first of all, I love I love mentoring, I love coaching, I love teaching the game of tennis. I always see little things that players do wrong, and if I do, I like to give them a tip or two. But the celebrities, it's great that they come out and play in front of, 2,000, 3,000 people when they're not great tennis players, but they do it for the love of the cause, and that's the prevention of drug abuse. And you know, everybody's in it for the same reasons, to give.
And a private tennis lesson with Chris Evert. How good does it get?
It doesn't get much better than that.
What do you
I need a lot of work on my tennis, so before I come back, and I want to come back next year, I'm going to work on my serve, which was fairly pathetic out there. But we did manage to do a tie and then lost in the tiebreaker because my serve was so pathetic. But tennis is fun. I just never quite got into it growing up.
You know, you come here, it's a first class charity event, and the resort's first class, everything. And just to be on the court with Martina Navratilova and Chris Evert and John McEnroe and Patrick McEnroe and everybody, it's a thrill, you know. And then you're raising money and helping these women who really need help. And you know, they're addicted to drugs or homeless, and they get them off drugs, and they get them shelters, and they get them a college education. I mean, it's fantastic, and they've been doing it for years.
I remember emceeing a charity event with the Red Cross and Chris Evert in Reading, Pennsylvania. One of the duties was for Chris to get out on the court, hit some ground strokes, hit some volleys, and educate the audience on technique. When it got to the volley, she was at her best, showing the procedure, the lead up. She walked off the court with her rackets. I walked with her. I said, Chris, those volleys are very sharp. She looked at me, she said, Kaz, are they really as good as you're saying they are? My goodness, even world champions at times have some doubt in their ability. What can we learn from that? Well, if you're a little uncomfortable in one part of your game, don't let that hold back the stronger parts of your game. Work on that weaker part, try to get it up to the same level, and I think you can have Chris Evert memories also. So now, let's get going with some Master Your Tennis Motor Memory training tips with Jimmy Arias. Jimmy has been a lifetime friend, and boy, don't we love him on the Tennis Channel.
The circular backswing is a real key in being able to time the ball and also getting multiple strike zones available. The key in taking a circular backswing is to make the very first part of the swing up, back, and around. The circular backswing will add power to your shots and also, as I mentioned, give you versatile strike zones. Here's your motor memory exercise for a circular backswing. Place the racket in front of the chair. Try taking the racket back. It won't go back unless you first lift the racket up. And that's the key in the beginning of a circular backswing. Up, back, and around. Remember, 60 times a day, 30 days, and you'll have that motor memory on the circular backswing. The key in a circular backswing is to keep the backswing consistent, to take it back in a slow start, let it speed up, and then a fast finish. Hey, here's another exercise for tennis motor memory for a circular backswing. Point the palm of the racket down, place a ball in the yoke of the racket, flip the ball up, and now swing forward. And guess what? You'll be forced to take a circular tennis backswing. Motor memory on its way. Great footwork is your transportation to great tennis. Look at the footwork of Jimmy, small choppy steps. Watch the footwork of John, classic side shuffle steps. The key is to move heel to heel, toe to toe. Clap the heels, clap the toes. Here's your exercise for motor memory. Take a ball and a racket, dribble the ball up and down. As you're dribbling the ball, start to move to the right. Now dribble it to the left, now to the right. It's Army dribble tennis. You're on your way to mastering footwork tennis motor memory. You remember the tennis motor memory exercise on your forehand of closing the gap? The same concepts on the two-handed backhand. Let the back shoulder close the gap, touch the chin as you swing. And now here's your tennis motor memory exercise to get the feel of the top hand being the working hand, the dominant hand. Take a ball and place it on the bottom palm of your bottom hand. Hold the rackets with the left hand on top. Get the feel of swinging strong with the left and light with the right. The top hand will be the dominant hand. Whether you drive with a one-handed backhand or a two-handed backhand, you'll want to slice with a one-handed shot. The key is learning how to come under the ball. Your one-handed backhand slice is a very versatile shot, so you'll want to master this shot. Here's another exercise to learn tennis motor memory on your one-handed backhand slice. Starts with the racket back behind you to the left. Now swing the racket forward. As you're swinging forward, Drop the ball down on the racket and get the feel that you're going to slide under the ball. Get the feel that you're rubbing and wiping the ball. This will give you the feel of tennis motor memory on your one-handed backhand slice. 60 times a day, 30 days, and you'll get the feel of coming under the ball. Keeping the wrist in a cocked and locked position, keeping the wrist stable on the one-handed backhand is a real essential. Here's a tennis motor memory exercise to keep the wrist in a cocked and locked, stable position. Place a tennis can cap on the strings of the racket and retain the cap to the strings, and you'll master the memory of keeping the wrist in a cocked, stable, locked position. Want to add more power to your forehand volley? Well, get the feel that you're doing a very sudden pop-stop effect to the swing. That's right. The more abruptly you stop the racket on the forehand volley, the more power you have on the forehand volley. Here's your tennis motor memory exercise. Hold a few balls in your opposite hand. Swing the right wrist forward, and as you do, toss back the ball with your opposite hand. That will give you the feel of getting a very sudden stop, pop effect to the forehand volley. Along with wrist position on the forehand volley, racket head position is also very important. You want to get the feel that the racket is laid back, slightly tilted back. That's correct. You're actually hitting up and under the ball on the forehand volley. Here's your tennis motor memory exercise to get the feel of laying back and tilting back the racket head. Have a friend toss the ball to you. As he's tossing the ball, catch the ball in a tennis can. That's correct. You'll get the feel of getting the wrist going forward and laying back the wrist, and that's your tennis motor memory exercise for laying back the wrist on your forehand volley.
So who was the guy catching the balls in the can? Regis Philbin. Regis and his wife Joy have been terrific for our sport of tennis. Tennis fans, we enjoyed having you with us. Plan to be with us again. But until then, remember, in tennis scoring, love means nothing, but love of the game means everything. Keep alive your love of the game. Love you, tennis fans, and we'll see you again soon. Tennis fans, great to have you with us on Inside Tennis with the Cause. We love our sponsors, and you will too. Stop by and see them. But until then, remember, in tennis scoring, love means nothing, but love of the game means everything. Keep alive your love of the game. Love you, tennis fans, and we'll see you right here every Saturday, 12:30 on SNN.
Hi everybody, I'm Mary Carrillo, and you're Inside Tennis with the Cause, the legend.
You were lucky.
Thank you, Dave. Bye, you guys.
The world loves you. You know that.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Monica.